it over. I think we're good. I'm gonna start it over, y'all. I'm gonna start it over and make sure this Wi-Fi. Did my sound go out to Facebook? Because a call just came through. Can you hear me? Kizzy, greetings. Can you hear me now? Am I still choppy? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Am I still choppy? You know what? You can hear me clearly? Oh my goodness. Okay. Let me start Facebook over too, because a call came through. I'm gonna stop this. And I'm gonna put my phone on do not disturb. So this don't happen for Facebook. Facebook, can y'all hear me? Hold on. Let's see. Elijah, where is do not disturb? You can tell I don't never put that on. Oh, thank you.
Jackson, eat that, baby.
Okay.
You asked for it. Stop playing on it.
Okay, y'all. Because a call came through, and I'm sure just delete this. Knock the sound out over here too. Okay. Let's start it all over. I'm gonna read everything over, y'all. Okay. Live. It's hot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jay, bring me my phone.
Okay. Clear now? Okay. We just gonna start over, people. Listen. Mom, I'm glad you sent me a text because I might have kept ringing if I ain't heard that ding. I know if I heard a ding now, look up. My mama might be texting because I might be on the road reading and y'all might be saying something like, sis, we can't hear you. Okay, so let's start over. Chapter 8. Did y'all hear chapter 7? If it was choppy from the beginning, I'll just go back to chapter 7. We'll start completely over. On page 718. Okay, I'm gonna just start over from the very beginning. We was only at the end of chapter 8. Okay, so let's go back. Page 718, chapter 7, Founding Groups is the subtitle. Good. Oh, chapter 7 of Book of Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth. I'm sorry for the people that they have the maybe the different one. Yep. Book of Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth. It's also called within it is the Book of Shalom. I can hear it. Thank you. Okay. All right, y'all. And if you got Big Blue, it's page 718. I'm not sure if you got the other volumes, what page it is in there, but it's the Book of Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth. Also within it, in the subtitles, also, yes, Book of Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth. And within it is the Book of Shalom. Or it might, I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure if it's just called the Book of Shalom in the other versions, but it's Book of Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth, which containeth within it the Book of Shalom. And under that it said, all of which is anti-script. Okay. Chapter 7. The light of Jehovah being upon Tay, he said, let the examples of Uz be not lost upon you, but where ye have learned and what ye have acquired, these shall ye appropriate wisely in Shalom. For which purpose it is wise that we appoint our groups as now required to be added unto afterward when more is required. How say ye then, shall we appoint? Little boy. Yes, baby.
Look at me.
I see.
Yeah.
Your daddy calling you. But where ye have learned, and what ye have acquired, these shall ye appropriate wisely in Shalom, for which purpose it is wise that we upon our groups, as now required, to be added unto afterward when more is required. How say ye then shall we appoint groups this day? Thereupon different persons spake, and the sum of their wisdom was that there should be a group of architects, a group of clothiers, a group of dietitians, a group of engineers, a group of manufacturers, a group of horticulturists, a group of agriculturists, a group of botanists, a group of nurses, a group of physicians, a group of artists, sculpture, painting, and garden, a group of musicians, and these were all the groups required at that time. Accordingly, Tay proclaimed them and called for volunteers for each and every group. And these were filled, though because there were but 52 members, some of them took membership in 2 or 3 groups, so that all were filled. The light still being upon Tay, he said, since ye have made the groups, let each group now select the chief. Now many of them spake up, saying, I neither wish fame for being chief, nor do I wish the responsibility of the position. Tay said, suffer me then to declare the light that is upon me, which is that ye are here to fulfill whatever Jehovah may put upon you with all your wisdom and strength. Whether ye be made chiefs or not chiefs, it is Jehovah's work ye are here to fulfill without any regard as to your personal selves. To covet chieftainess would be selfish. To refuse chieftainess would be selfish. We cannot found the Father's kingdom with any other members than such as say with all their hearts and mind and soul, whatsoever thou puttest upon me, O Jehovah, that will I do with all my wisdom and strength. To have faith in this way is to have faith with practice. Such a one is a faithist in fact. Now those who had spoken before relented, saying, O Jehovah, what have I done? Behold, I tripped up myself even in the start. Make this a rebuke to me, O Father, and heap thou upon me whatsoever thou wilt. Okay, I'm still good on the sound. We good. Okay, Nazarene Faith is Shalom, Jameer Shalom, Elijah, peace and light. Verse 27, page 719. Tay said, what anyone can do, it is well done. Wherein he faileth because of incapacity, behold, it is not his fault, but his misfortune. So it came to pass, chiefs were selected for every group, men and women, and Tay was made sea chief. And so Tay delivered to each of the chiefs a synopsis of his duties. Chapter 8, page 719, or chapter VIII. To the chief of architecture, Tay said, thy duties shall be one with thy group, and what I say to thee shall apply to them also. Thou shalt not only build houses for Shalom, providing them comfortably with rooms and wholesome conveniences, but thou shalt teach our adopted infants by models and otherwise the art and science of architecture. At a very early age, thou shalt explain to them by blocks and with tools the science and measurements of architecture, as to the names and kinds thereof, to the place and use of braces, beams, and roofs. Moreover, as soon as they are capable of holding a pencil, thou shalt teach them to make drafts of houses and the parts thereof. And when they are old enough to handle tools, thou shalt teach them to make models of houses and to estimate the strength of the parts required. To the chief of clothiers, Tay said, thy duties shall be one with thy group, and what I say to thee is for them also. Thou shalt not only provide clothing for Shalom and wisdom as to comfort, pattern, and beauty, but thou wilt prepare the way to teach these, our adopted infants, the art and workmanship of clothing the human form in the way most conducive to health and comfort. At an early age, thou shalt teach them the art of sewing and cutting, providing for them models in human form, so they may learn everything from a hat to a shoe as to the material used, the strength required, and how to determine the same. To the chief of dietitians, Tay said, thou and thy group shall be one, and what I say to them, and what I say to thee is to them also. Thou shalt determine and provide diet for Shalom as to the best herbivorous foods and how to prepare them and how to preserve such as shall be kept over. In this matter, thou shalt determine and explain the constituent parts of the human body, and shalt find and provide herbivorous elements adapted to development and purity, so that the best and strongest and healthiest of men and women may be made out of these, are adopted infants. Neither shalt thou follow whims or fancies, but thou shalt support thyself by facts collected from the different nations of the earth. And in the preparation of food, thou shalt teach these infants the art and the properties and all things pertaining to food and diet, and explain to them the bloodthirsty character of carnivorous animals and carnivorous people, giving them facts and figures, so that in all thou teachest them, they shall be learned wisely and not in conceit merely. And somebody that I know does this really well is Yaki, and not just Yaki, but I say him because he pulls that, not that nobody else does, but he's the one that I'm most familiar with, aside from Dr. Sabi. But even in the use of technology and stuff, I think Yaki is the best one that I've seen so far live on earth. It could be somebody else, but he uses the way he has this whole studio setup, way he's able to talk, pulling things on the screen, especially pertaining to the body and foods and how you develop over the years and everything. He shows facts, all this stuff, even teaching you about the teeth and the different type of beings and animals and the type of teeth structure that they have, and those that have like fangs. Why you have fangs? You got if you're a meat eater, you should have fangs, right? Because you should be able to eat meat in its raw state like it is in nature. You don't see any other animal catching their prey, chopping it up, cooking it, and adding seasonings to. No, they take them teeth and they go to work and they eat. They ain't worried about cooking. For humans to do that, we gotta, first of all, we look crazy out there running in the wild trying to jump on the back of a cow trying to bite into his backside. First of all, we need to call the folk for you. Because you tripping, right? If it's not natural, it wasn't designed for us to eat those type of things. And how can we further tell that with facts? Because when you're not, I know some people still probably eating meat, but it's the process. Just like it was a process for me to wean myself off of meat like 10 years ago, right? It destroys the body. It literally destroys the body. It breaks down the colon. Every disease that we have, 90, I would say 99% of them, I say 98% of them comes from what we put in here, right? It just comes out the other end of our mouth, which is called the rectum, and it tears up everything in the process of getting there. And some doesn't even make it to the other end of our mouth. And when it happens that way, it's called colon cancer, because all that material hardens inside the intestines and it blocks arteries. When it blocks arteries, it blocks the pathways of the blood, pumping the blood to the heart, and all these things. One thing affects the other, right? And then people want to start chopping and removing stuff off of you that should be there. You need these things, right? Okay, so it's a lot of people that do it, but he's like and I've seen him develop over the years. He has everything with the electronic, not everything, but he has a really, really good production showing you being able to pull the facts, and he studies, and he's just not teaching it to you from conceit. He's showing you facts and proving things, even with blood work tests and all this stuff, his whole lab setup and all this stuff, right? So he would probably fall into the group of chief not musicians, dietitians, right? I'll read verse 6 again, page 719, chapter 8, or chapter VIII. To the chief of dietitians, Tay said, Thou and thy group shall be one. What I say to thee is to them also. Thou shalt determine and provide diet for Shalom as to the best herbivorous foods and how to prepare them and how to preserve such as shall be kept over. In this matter, thou shalt determine and explain the constituent parts of the human body and shalt find and provide herbivorous elements adapted to development and purity so that the best and strongest and healthiest of men and women may be made out of these, our adopted infants. Neither shalt thou follow whims or fancies, but thou shalt support thyself by facts collected from the different nations of the earth. And in the preparation of food, thou shalt teach these infants the art and the properties and all things pertaining to food and diet, and explain to them the bloodthirsty character of carnivorous animals and carnivorous people, giving them facts and figures, so that in all thou teachest them, they shall be learned wisely, and not in conceits merely. Thus Tay spake to all the chiefs, explaining to them their parts. And after he had finished with them individually, he spake to them collectively, saying, the greatest of all learning is to learn how to live in the best way, that we may be happy here and hereafter. There is no other learning so important as this. To man, Jehovah provided neither wool nor hair nor feathers to cover his body, and yet he created him too tender to live without clothing. Without covering. I read the whole verse again. Verse 11, page 720. To man, Jehovah provided neither wool nor hair nor feathers to cover his body, and yet he created him too tender to live without covering. In sexual relation, man and woman alone of all the animal world can be taught shame. Hold on, I saw something the other day. I'm like, animals have no shame. I'll just keep going. Whatever dress attractive the least thought to sex is the most modest dress. Whatever dress giveth the fullest, best development to all parts of the body with adaptation to comfort for the seasons is the best dress. Let me go back and read it again. Verse 12 and 13. In sexual relation, man and woman alone of all the animal world can be taught shame. Whatever dress attractive the least thought to sex is the most modest dress. Whatever dress giveth the fullest, best development to the parts of the body with adaptation to comfort for the seasons is the best dress. Next to dress is diet. As to what is best to eat for the best, healthiest corporal man, and the best for the wisest, holiest spiritual man is the best diet. These, with houses to live in, comprise the chief requirements for the corporal life of man. And yet, to produce these and prepare them unto man's service, many trades and sciences have been developed on the earth. Now, behold, in this day, Jehovah hath provided amply unto us. He hath opened up unto us the nations of the earth, where we can go and witness many things, especially as to the habits and dispositions of man, as to his mode of life, and food and clothes and houses. Which is why it's good that y'all get out there and travel. Not travel just to have fun, but also for educational purposes, right? Pay attention to stuff. Ask questions of the natives, especially when you go out of the country. I know Hawaii was still in the country, but it still feels like it's a whole different vibe there. It feels like I was in another country. Verse 17. Now behold, in this day Jehovah hath provided amply unto us. He hath opened up unto us the nations of the earth, where we can go and witness many things, especially as to the habits and dispositions of man, as to his mode of life, and food and clothes and houses. Now behold, ye have taken a great work upon yourselves, which is to raise up these little ones according to your highest light. Ye have bound yourselves to follow your own highest light, and ye know that all light is progressive. Ye cannot settle down saying, I know enough. Ye are bound to investigate. And how can ye do this without acquainting yourselves with what hath been proved amongst other peoples? In some countries, infants are whipped for crying, In other countries, they are held up by the heels, and in some countries, infants cry not at all. The chief of nurses shall discover these facts and appropriate them. In like manner, shall every chief take his part and develop the highest proven and possible standard. That is probably one of the worst. I mean, I guess whooping, if you like, just whooping because you're abusive. But to hold a child upside down by their heels, you causing all the blood to rush to their head. I remember my cousin did that to um one of my children. Matter of fact, he did it to a couple of them when they get a certain age. He said, this is routine. I got to hold all the kids upside down by their feet. I'm like, I wish you would lift my child up by his feet and hang him upside down. The chief of nurses shall discover these facts and appropriate them. In like manner shall every chief take his part and develop the highest proven and possible standard. As much as ye thus fulfill your places, so shall be your satisfaction and happiness afterward. As much as ye neglect your parts, so will ye censor and accuse, and is it accuse? Accuse, yeah, and accuse yourself afterwards. Why did it look wrong? It looks. Let me just read the whole verse again. It looks wrong to me. Verse 720. I'm sorry, page 720, verse 24. As much as ye thus fulfill your places, so shall be your satisfaction and happiness afterward. As much as ye neglect your parts, so will ye censure and accuse yourselves afterward. As faith is, ye accept all people as angels. Mortals are simply undelivered. All mortals are in an embryonic state preparing for birth, commonly called death. Look at that. Look at that. Don't I say that all the time? I said this is we're in a womb within a womb. Like our flesh is in the womb of our spirit is in the womb of our flesh, and our flesh is in the womb of the earth, and we're truly born when we die, or people call it death here, but it is true birth, right? Oh, Alicia, I seen it. Guilty. I know what you're saying guilty to. You've been known to do that as well. Verse verse 26, I'll read again, page 720. All mortals are in an embryonic state, preparing for birth,
I can put
commonly
water in the
called
pool
death.
already.
Can you do what?
Put the water in the pool.
What pool?
My Barbie dream house pool.
Girl, no.
Dad
Dad said what?
yes.
When did you ask Dad?
He was still asleep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You don't ask him nothing like that when he's asleep. Because if he was woke, he would not tell you, yes, Bella, you can take water and put it in your Barbie dream house that's in your room.
Mom, that's not in there now.
Where is that?
In the hallway bathroom. Not the hallway bathroom.
It's where? Whatever bathroom you got it in, you better take it out. Do not put water in that doll pool.
I think.
Verse 26. All mortals are in an embryonic state, preparing for birth, commonly called death. Heaven is now and is near, even within all who will accept it. At an early age, infants can be taught to serve Jehovah. At an early age, infants can be taught that to serve Jehovah bringeth happiness, to serve mortal inspirations and surroundings, Satan bringeth unhappiness. Therefore, though ye teach our infants about diet and architecture and clothing and all other things, ye will still but little improve on ooze, save ye teach them that the chief aim of life should be to develop the spiritual man that is within. Highlight that. Because we actually, as parents, we hold all these positions in the life of our children, right? And as they get a little bit older, you may introduce them to different teachers. Well, shucks, even while they're younger, sometimes introduce them to different teachers that specialize in certain things, right? Verse 30. By this system of education in Shalom, there shall be two branches, one relating to corporal things and one to spiritual things. Chapter 9, chapter 9, page 720. Tay said, "Behold, the Uzians have schools, and they teach their young by and in books. But when their youth are thus educated as to their brains, their hands are useless for providing food and clothes and habitations. Education in regard to corporal things must embrace the manipulation and handling of corporal things for useful purposes. And foremost of all problems is how to provide the necessities of life within one's own hands, that he may not be rendered a dependent on others." And we can see this a lot. That's why kids, well, you see it a little bit, well, you have a little more hand manipulation in the earlier grades, like preschool and stuff, while you teaching children about certain things, you have like blocks and things like that. They should be using that through all the grades, right? It's just that the tools and the manipulation tools that they have, they should grow with the education. So now it's not blocks, you're now actually handling real tools and real building materials and real electronic pieces and stuff like that, right? That should always be, which is why trade schools are so effective in their method of education, because you get the hands-on learning. While you're developing the brain, you're also developing like the, I guess you could say, hand-eye coordination and the remembrance of how to actually do it with your hands. I guarantee you, I ain't gonna say almost 100%, when you teach somebody, when you teach in a class and you're just lecturing them, they're going to fall behind those who get the lecture and have lab time as well, right? It's just like those people who work in the field and those who sit in the office. The ones who sit in the office that's never been out in the field, all they can give you is book smarts, and they'll pop an attitude with you like they know what they're talking about when they haven't actually been in the field. When those who are out in the field, it's crazy. Sometimes those out in the field get paid less, especially if they don't have a degree. They get paid less, but they should really be the ones that's running things. And the ones sitting in the office, they couldn't tell a screw from a nut, right? And it's like, oh, well, this. So let me tell you something. Have you been out here in the field? And then you get them out there in the field. I know, because it happened. My husband, like, you know what? Get from behind the desk. Come out here to the job site. I was like, I don't need to come out there. Yes, you do. Because I'm sick of trying to explain all this to you. Trying to explain all this to you when I need you to fill this order out and stuff. I'm just like, well, you got a point. So you might see in some of our business clips and stuff, if you ever went to our business social media page for our company where we're on projects and the install, and you see me with a hard hat on, a vest and everything. And I'm just like, oh my God, why am I out here? But it's actually kind of cool. And so actually being out in the field helps bring a lot of clarity to the lecture or the behind the desk things that I'm constantly looking at on the contracts and in the paperwork and everything. It's like you can't have one without the other. And those that just have the one, they are lacking in so many areas, So I would recommend those that sit behind the desk all day and you communicate with those in the field, whatever place you are, if it's possible. Even if they have a day where the office people can just come and observe what's happening, get out the office, go stretch your legs, get from behind the computer, and take the break. Actually go out there and see what's going on, right? It'll make you way more efficient. And it'll make the business more profitable because you'll be faster. You can communicate with those in the field a lot more effectively and efficiently, and that's why, going back to the schools, that's why you have a lot of children that they classify. Sometimes they classify them slow. It's not necessarily they're slow, or classify them as troublemakers, and then they're grouping with the ones who are truly having, you know, uh, not necessarily mental issues, but they have problems grasping things. It has been tested and proven that if you take these same group of kids and you put them in an atmosphere conducive for learning with manipulatives and things, well, not only they can burn off energy, they can stand up and move around and, just communicate with one another. Let me see what you did. They grow better, right? There's a school, and I'm sure they have a few of them now. A guy in Chicago. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. If y'all know, share it. But I'm gonna go look it up, and I'll share it with you. But that's what he did. He started his own school. He was already like in the education field anyway. But he had sons that he realized he had to pull out of homeschool because of all the energy. They was always getting in trouble, and it's like they just not learning. Well, they this many grades behind and all this. And he just kind of observed. He asked if he could come in and just kind of sit in, not just be like, hey, boy, I'm watching you, but to really figure out what was going on, right? They're trying to fit all the children in the same mode of learning. You just sit here and listen to me talk, and then I need you to take a test, and I expect you remember just to go read the book. Like, you ain't giving them anything to touch and remember. Just read all of this and remember it, right? You got to test the principles. Once you start actually giving them things that they can test and do, they remember the information. They ain't got to do all this extra studying, because it cements the lecture into their brains, like deep down in they sha-na-na, right? And they can go through things, and they can recall things, and they can test things. They know if something is out of order because it didn't work like it should here. They can backtrack and figure out the point where the disconnect happened, right? Same thing with learning, whether you want to call it scripture, anti-scripture, whatever. All you have to do is get out there and test some things. Find a good teacher that who can line up things for you, or show you different ways. But shucks, you can do it yourself, and it's and that you can do that with a few different documents and books and stuff. But Oahspe, it's like really easy to do that with the information that it brings out, because it has things that we can touch, we can feel, we have access to, we can test, and we can observe. We can record the results and look and say, oh wait, yeah, that works, or no, that doesn't. We can look at the different diets of the different animals, and we can tell those who eat meat, or they have like bad attitudes and stuff, like everything always go wrong for you. You got a dirty liver, right? I can almost guarantee you probably eat meat. It's not too many people that you see on a plant-based diet that have bad attitudes. You find them like, la la la, I love you, brother, I love you, sister, tree huggers. And you're just like, oh, don't worry about it, we good. No worries, right? You don't see too many plant-based people with bad attitudes, because all that flesh and blood is not in their gut. That's like it's working against all the other systems that should be flowing in peace in your body, right? Your system is trying to work out that death, overworking your kidneys and your liver, and it's like just mad. You have no other recourse than just be mad. Get out of my face, right? Because the flesh don't know what to do, because it got all that acid and stuff inside its gut, and you just react them from what's going on inside your gut, right? I'm just saying, this book is good. I don't care what nobody say. I am a believer. Look, hold on, what you say? It's not festering in your body. What's not festering in your body? What's set apart? What's not festering? Oh yeah, you don't have like meat and blood and stuff festering in your body, but those who do eat it, yeah, it's festering. Yeah, right. They happy, and because they don't have all that meat and stuff festering on the inside of their body. And what do they call it? Um, it's another word. Anyway, it was the word I was going to use for rotten inside of the you don't have all that putrefaction inside your intestines, right? So, all right, y'all. Next chapter 9, page 720. Tay said, "Behold." Oh, wait a minute. Let me say this. Let me say this other comment that I was about to say. When I say this information is good, I don't care what nobody say. As I read it, and I said it a couple times, but the more I read and the more I pay attention and I observe stuff and I test information, right? I'm just like, you know what? I'm glad I decided to just actually open up and start reading through it without doing the type of research I normally do when I check into stuff. Because I normally do character checks on people who write stuff before I dive into the information. But I guess the way it was brought to me with one of the people who come here, I just trusted them. I took them at their word and I trusted them, and I opened up the information to read through it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Now, if you do character checks on people, not that all people are bad, but everybody has their different hangups and different things that they're trying to work out. It's no different with Oahspe and who pinned it with John Numero. But what's crazy is people don't do these same character checks on people who give them, let's just say the Bible, right? The Bible. You got people whose character is all out of whack. Let's not even just talk about not even the person who wrote it, right? The authorized version. Let's not even talk about him, but let's put that into practice today with people that still living, recommending things, right? If they're gonna hold like all, if they're gonna do that, they should not be biased on what they do. Like if you just before you open anything, you're gonna do character checks on everybody before you test the information, right? Who is it? What's your whole point? Are you trying to live the life that this person, and hopefully they live in a life that it's conducive to righteousness, right? And a lot of people do sometimes they just look at people and they begin to put them on pedestals and make them gods instead of getting into the information that these teachers should be trying to teach them, right? But they get sidetracked and they're looking at people instead of the information that we should be taking and applying it to our lives, right? So they don't do that with pastors and preachers. And some of them, some of them, they talk mad trash about people who get caught up in sex scandals in a church and all these other things. But you never once hear these same people saying anything bad about the Bible or holding that same kind of intuitive looking into your lifestyle, being nosy about you and what you're doing behind closed doors. They don't do that same thing with them that they do with the Bible. They pastor could bring they side pieces to church to sit in the pulpit beside their wife. They're gonna still crack that over. Pastor, what you had said, go to what chapter? James, the book of James. Yes, that's so good. Keep on talking to me, Pastor. And they'll keep on reading, but they never once connecting the two. They don't ever talk bad about the Bible when you got complete charlatans out there. Yes, live this life, that the Bible talks about. Like they don't, it's like somebody that hasn't been churchified, right? I would be like, so you living what you telling me to, and your life, if you've been reading this all, how long you been a pastor? Yeah, and I just seen you down there on 43rd and 2nd picking up prostitutes. I don't want what you got, right? Don't nobody ever do that to pastors and evangelists and apostles and whatever title they put on themselves, right? They still like the Bible is it, this, and this. But you come with this, like, listen, people, because what they're doing, they're taking the information. They know the information is good, or they test some things, right? They should hold that same type of they should keep that same energy when it comes to other things, and not just Oahspe. Test the information inside of it and not the flawed people who are telling you about it, right? Because we all got something to work on, but at least test the information and let us choose, okay, this is good, this is not. This clearly comes from another realm other than here. We need to test if that's good or if that's bad. We can put it over here, put that in a fire bucket. I got the matches, right? And the other stuff that's good and apply to our life, right? They're biased with what they believe and what they want to believe and what they choose to believe. Like they're unauthorized cherry pickers. And that's what burns my buttons. But I keep my comments to myself, and I'm just like, okay. That type of thinking, that's going to get people in trouble down the road, somewhere down the line, right? Because you have to be able to separate. You have to be able to separate some things, right? Because if you you could apply this in so many different ways. Because like if you was literally at death's door, right, and you needed, I don't know, what kind of example I could use? Maybe you got shot or something. I don't know. Maybe you got shot and there was somebody who was trained in the medical field, but they got some issues going on with their life, maybe the adultery or whatever kind of issues, and everybody know about it. But you about to die, but you know the information that they know. Are you not going to accept the medical help that could help you from dying? Because nah, bro, get away from here. Let me just bleed out because I don't like you. right? Not looking at the facts and the truth of what this flawed person has that could help you. They're not able to separate like truth from error, the meat from the bones. For some reason, they're not able to do that. They choose not to do that. They pick and choose. Yeah, I don't like you, so I don't care. I just don't want to be associated. I don't understand the reason and the thinking behind it, right? Test the information. Even with some of the debates and stuff, people, if you watch them, people that won't even crack it open to read it, they constantly want to bring you back to the person, the authors of different things, instead of actually dealing with the information. They would have no legs to stand on if they only talked about the information. And that's what I don't know. I'm just like, I'm like, all right, brethren, I'm heading out because I ain't got no meat resting on the inside of my gut, so I'm gonna let y'all have that. All right, y'all. Look, chapter 9. Tabitha, shalom, shalom. Look, y'all. Chapter 9, page 720. Tay said, behold, the Uzians have schools, and they teach their young by and in books. But when their youth are thus educated, as to their brains, their hands are useless for providing food and clothes and habitations. Education in regard to corporal things must embrace the manipulation and handling of corporal things for useful purposes. And foremost of all problems is how to provide the necessities of life with one's own hands, that he may not be rendered a dependent on others. This shall be one of the first problems ye shall make our infants understand. I like this because we always say something to our children, but we just say it in a different way. Matter of fact, we was talking to Jeremiah last night, and because he's 19 and he's like he's doing like that college hopping on what I want to major in, right? And so, but when we got down to it, I'm like, son, what it comes down to is you just trying to find the quickest, best way to make money, right? But then you realize it when the semester is about to start, you feel some type of way because that's not really what you want to do. You don't want to be caught in that because you feel like you're gonna be chained to it. And so now it's like, yeah, I can't. Before we even start, mom, we need to change this. And I noticed Jeremiah has like this business mind, right? And he's really good in this. Like he pays for courses to take himself to get into it, and he can sit and have a legitimate business conversation with you based on what he's applied himself to, and how to generate some certain things, right? So when he changed it to cybersecurity, and I try not to, I try to just kind of guide without saying, son, you don't want to do that. I just kind of put things out there, look into this. So, I mean, because he's of age, he's a really smart kid, right? And he should be able to filter through some things before he lock himself into something. And even if he did lock himself into something, me and my husband already talked about it. He young enough, we know he might switch a couple of times. We're prepared for it. We didn't tell him that. We're just trying to get him to think for himself and not allow somebody to push him into an arena or an industry that he hasn't been like trained in, where he hasn't already been developing in what he feel like his passion is for. But we tell them all the time, we said, once people solve the money problem in life, once you solve the money issues, you pretty much got it. Now you can actually fulfill purpose. But most people, they never solve the money issues of their life. And they're constantly always working just to make a buck, just to live, right? If you solve the money issues early in life, and us too, shucks, we didn't even really get it down pat to like late 30s, like 40s. Once you solve the money issues, you really now can focus on purpose. What am I here for? Right? You can actually begin to travel and explore things without always having to worry about, oh my gosh, I can't go. I got to get up early. I got to go to work. I got to do this. People that do that, they're still trying to solve the money issues in their life. Right? So we're in a place, not to say that we have the best, but we are able to provide certain things without being enablers to be a shenaniganizer out there in the world. Like we kind of learned that with a lot of mistakes we made with our older son, and just take that. Oh, you need this? Yep. Don't worry about that. We'll pay for that. That is horrible. Don't ever do that. right? Because you will enable your children and they will go off into a lifestyle that it's not going to be too pretty for a while. So you help clean that up, right? So we had to help clean up some things with things we enabled our oldest son to do. And Jeremiah, he's so wise. He sit back and he pays attention to everything. He said, yep, definitely don't want to go down that field. I see where that led him. He's right back here. Nope, not doing that. So when I go, I'm going to go. And I'm going to be able to stand on my own without having to call and ask y'all for anything. Everybody should be raised that way. He's trying to figure out how to solve the money issues early in his life because he wants to try. He's been talking about it for years. He wants to travel all over the world, right? But until he gets the money issues solved for himself to be able to take care of all his needs, then he can begin to focus on that. Because if you look at people, it's not money that people is hoarding up. Some people are hoarding up money, but they're hoarding up money. Why? To do things. And some, we're talking about people who are healthy, right? Not people that just want to amass money so they can amass more things, but people who want to amass the money so they can actually begin to have experiences that normally wouldn't be available to them, like taking their children places, because what they're really searching for is memories and a quality time and things that can be remembered, right? Because even after money is gone and it's spent, you got the memories and things that you can help your kids develop over the years, right? Kids, when they're young, they ain't gonna think about none of the money, or they're not even gonna calculate, or how much did you spend on that trip? Oh my gosh, mom, dad, thank you so much. What they're going to remember and what's going to impact them the most is the memories and the education that they learn from this resource that we use called money to help develop you over the years while you grow, right? So you can remember lessons when you're put in a situation when you're a little bit older. Okay, I remember what happened here. And they have mental images and things like that, right? So if you can solve the money issue early, right, you'll be like Jeremiah say, you'll be goody, right? Not that you'll never run into issues, but you would never be that one that's always constantly searching after a book, right? Because if you're constantly doing that, you have a purchase price, right? And when your tests come, or the auction, when you put up on an auction block, it don't look too pretty, right? Yes. Looking there. The ones on the bottom, I believe. Yeah, I think. Let me see this. Let me see the top. Yeah, the ones on the bottom. And when you heat them up, or you can put them in the air fryer. Just take everything out of there because that's your dad's. Okay. All right. So let's go back, y'all. Hold on. We was only at verse 3, so let me read verse 1 again. Chapter 9, page 720. Tay said, behold, the Uzians have schools, and they teach their young by and in books. But when their youths are thus educated, as to their brains, their hands are useless for providing food and clothes and habitations. Education, in regard to corporal things, must embrace the manipulation and handling of corporal things for useful purposes. And foremost of all problems is how to provide the necessities of life with one's own hands, that he may not be rendered a dependent on others. This shall be one of the first problems ye shall make our infants to understand. And that's what I said when I was giving you the examples on solving the money issues of life first. Verse 4, young children not only ask questions, but they desire illustrations with the privilege of trying to do something themselves. Their questions must be answered by their nurses and their teachers. It is not sufficient unto Jehovah's requirements of you that ye put off children with evasive answers or with incomprehensible explanations, or because I said so, right? How you still, because you said okay, and then if you got a parent that do that because I said so, like, you really have no other recourse as a child. Like, you got to go figure it out, and then you get in trouble and they beat you or whatever for going and trying to figure this out when you wouldn't even answer them. You give them vague answers and you lie to them about Santa Claus and all this other kind of crazy crap, right? Young children not only ask questions, but they desire illustrations with the privilege of trying to do something themselves. Their questions must be answered by their nurses and their teachers. It is not sufficient unto Jehovah's requirements of you that ye put off children with evasive answers or with incomprehensible explanations.
Did y'all better go to Sylvan?
Yes, they do have to go this morning. Yep, for like
Mom,
2
Mom,
hours. Yes. Bella only 1 hour. Yes.
Mom, I can get 5 minutes at Sylvan.
You got a whole hour, sis.
Well, if mom
All right.
sets you up for 5 minutes at Sylvia, you only do one thing.
Okay, everybody, out the kitchen, please.
I'm hungry.
Okay, you will eat in a minute.
I want pizza.
I don't know how many pieces are left. Verse 6. It is not sufficient unto Jehovah's. Why y'all gotta be so loud?
And who ate the last piece of pizza? Who ate all the pizza without us?
Because y'all was asleep. Is that the last piece?
Yeah, for me it is.
How y'all gonna share that? Well, y'all gonna each take a bite? No, that's gross. Hold on, y'all. Where's the pizza cutter? I'm gonna just slice it down the middle. Oh,
I want to get I think I want to get this slice. This.
where's the pizza cutter?
It must be in
Just a minute. Hold on, y'all. Just 1 second. Hold on. No, just here. No.
I got a pizza cutter at my house.
All right. Okay, that's it. Now you got even thinner slices. Now you can have your own. Okay. And I'm still live, y'all, so keep your voices down. Let me go back to verse 4.
No.
Young children not only ask questions, but they desire illustrations with the privilege of trying to do something themselves. Their questions must be answered by their nurses and their teachers. It is not sufficient unto Jehovah's requirements of you that ye put off his children with evasive answers or with incomprehensible explanations. Education must be accompanied with practice. As for example, ye show the child certain seeds, explaining what will grow from them. Ye shall plant them and illustrate. And when the vine hath come up out of the ground, ye shall not only illustrate its corporality, but shall display the life therein as a manifestation of Jehovah's presence. Verse 8. To simply teach the child botany. Hey, you know what, baby? That's the last piece. And I split it. I already cut it down. Yeah, ain't no more. I mean, if you want, don't cry. I'll put this other one in the oven. I'll put this other one in the oven, but you're gonna have to wait a few minutes. I got a whole nother cauliflower pizza. Listen. Verse 8. To simply teach the child botany without reference to the spirituality that underlieth all living things would have little effect in turning the child's thoughts to its own life and growth in spirit. Thank you. Just sit it over there. I'll put it in the oven in a minute. Yeah, put it right there. At an early age, these infants shall be thus put to work in gratification of their own desires to do something, and their work shall be educational, corporally and spiritually. And when they are large enough to handle tools, they shall be permitted to work at trades or in art, and full and sufficient explanations shall be given to all their questions. And this shall come to pass in Shalom, without tiresome study and without tiresome labor. These infants at 14 years shall be wiser and better learned than Uzians at 20. For they shall not be limited to one trade each. Hey, y'all, hey.
This
Voices.
is you. This is Dad.
What?
No. We're gonna play this.
No. Actually, y'all got that out our room, didn't you? Well, that came out of my bag. It belongs to me. And this shall come to pass in Shalom without tiresome. I'm sorry, hold on. Listen, I'm about to kick everybody out. Y'all see me trying to read. I'm still live. Take it down 2 notches. Page 720. Chapter 9, verse 11. And this shall come to pass in Shalom without tiresome study and without tiresome labor. These infants at 14 years shall be wiser and better learned than Uzians at 20, for they shall not be limited to one trade each or one occupation each, but to a great extent all of them shall know all trades and occupations. For botany they shall have a garden, and for astronomy an observatory, for chemistry a laboratory, for clothing a factory, for horticulture and agriculture they shall have orchards and fields and gardens. Such then shall be the method of teaching our infants. Now as to Jehovah and his creations, in magnitude and perfection, they shall be ever kept before the child's mind to exalt its gratitude and adoration and to make it rejoice in its own life. I know, right? Love gardening. Listen, I started learning more when I started gardening. My spiritual understanding increased leaps and bounds when I started my own garden, right? And you even find in scripture where it says that it says God, right? God gives great wisdom to the farmer, right? Let me see if I can find it. And I just kind of like summed it up in my words. Let me find it. And I found that to be the truth. Hold on. I want to say it was in Proverbs. I'm sorry. Yeah, hold on. Not Proverbs. It was in Isaiah. Hold on. Isaiah 28. Isaiah chapter 28, verse 26 to 29. Let me see if I can post it here. Hold on. Right? Set apart living. Look. Hold on. Right there. The Lord of heaven's armies is a wonderful teacher, and he gives the farmer great wisdom. Yo, y'all, it'll just blow you. If y'all don't garden yet, or just start with one plant. If you ain't got no yard, get a pot. If you live in the concrete jungle somewhere where you ain't got the first blade of grass, you got a patio, go get a pot and some dirt and some seeds. I'm telling you, not only will your love for gardening and your wisdom of the plant kingdom grow, but your spiritual insight. It just, y'all, I can't even really explain how it happens, but as you begin to manipulate and look into the soil, whether it's loamy or thick or whatever in the seed and the time of gestation, how much sunlight it needs. Is this a perennial? Is it, should it be kept in indirect sunlight? Like all of these things, as you begin to take time and learn about these things, the spirit of the most holy, like the voice of the most holy, our Father, our Creator, will begin to talk to you, right? In relation to that, while you're learning about this, and then he'll begin to take like examples from the soil and the plant and stuff and apply it to your spiritual life. And things like, well, think about your spirit and this, and that. And what about this? And even about your children in the household. And I'm just like, you know what? This is amazing. I found that to be true. That it's amazing. Flower pots are perfect. Yes, they are perfect. Kale and Swiss chard grow all year. I'm growing an avocado tree indoors because I don't have a backyard. Hey, they look, they still see you give them the right environment, even with some of the artificial sunlight, or even just taking a plant and sitting out in the natural sun for a while, right? To make sure it's getting that, even though you may not have a yard, but you can move your plant, right? You can take your plant, you can move it around, take it outside. Go take your plant for a walk. Don't you go get some sun? Take your plant out there when you go to, right? Take it out there, let it get some sun. But I'm telling you, your spiritual insight will grow leaps and bounds when you learn to garden. And just start with one plant, right? If you kill it, start over, right? Let me tell you, when I first started, I'm like, you know what? I'm glad you sustain the life of my children because I didn't kill so many plants. I'm so glad you are keeping my children alive.
Yeah, in the dark.
It's a you got a bit of a learning curve, but once you give yourself wholly to it, and it's so much to learn. It's not like you're gonna master it in like a month or even a few years or whatever. You have people that have been gardening for decades and they're always learning something new. You got all the different types of plants, and even with the different types of plants, you begin to look at the different types of people, the attitudes, the different environments it needs to grow in. And you start thinking about the different type of diets that certain people with more melanin. Hey guys, certain people with more melanin thrive on, to whereas those with less melanin, they need some sort of protein. They don't necessarily need animal meat. They just need to pull that protein from the plant kingdom, right? So all these different things. It's just amazing. Hey, children, I would love for y'all to continue this conversation, but if y'all want to have it in here, I'm gonna need y'all to just take it down a little bit while I'm live, because this is my space in the morning. I mean, y'all can be loud as y'all want to if you go to the loft. Okay. Let me see. Where we at? At an hour? Okay, let me go back. Let me just go back to verse 11 in chapter 9, page 720. And this shall come to pass in Shalom without tiresome study and without tiresome labor. These infants at 14 years shall be wiser and better learned than Uzians at 20. But they shall not be limited to one trade each or one occupation each, but to a great extent, all of them shall know all trades and occupations. For botany, they shall have a garden. And as for astronomy, an observatory. For chemistry, a laboratory. For clothing, a factory. For horticulture and agriculture, they shall have orchards, fields, and gardens. Such then shall be the method of teaching our infants. Now, as to Jehovah and his creations, and magnitude and perfection, they shall be ever kept before the child's mind to exalt its gratitude. Yeah, they don't care. They just going on. Now, as to Jehovah and his creations, and magnitude and perfection, they shall be ever kept before the child's mind to exalt its gratitude and adoration, and to make it rejoice in its own life. For there is not in all the philosophies in all the world wherewith For there is not in all the philosophies in all the world wherewith to restrain the private life and habits from secret vice, save through belief in Jehovah's eyes being ever upon us. Nevertheless, a child that is raised up without learning angel communion is but half raised. By the actual presence of angels and by children seeing them and conversing with them, the proximity of heaven to earth becometh firmly established in the child's mind, and it beholdeth the fitness of one world to the other. Let me tell you something. This can be tested and proven. We ain't got to do anything to see this, because until adults taint children, children are constantly in tune with the unseen realm, with angels and stuff. And people, as they grow up, if they was raised ignorantly, oh, you got an imaginary friend. I'm like, and then they're, no, don't talk to whoever you seeing, and like all this stuff. Like younger children, they are literally, they are more spiritual than some of the pastors that you see in pulpits, right? I would love to go to a daycare and just sit amongst children before I go sit in the pulpits of a church again. I swear for Bob. What's that? No, I said Monday. It's possible it could come today, but I just said Monday just in case. So just in case it don't come today, you won't be constantly asking, where is it at? Go wash your face and stuff. And y'all got Sylvan. Y'all need to what time is it? No, you can't, because today is a makeup. We skipped that day when we all decide to go bike riding. Y'all got to make it up today. Okay, listen. Verse 17. Nevertheless, a child that is raised up without learning angel communion is but half raised by the actual presence of angels and by children seeing them and conversing with them. The proximity of heaven to earth becometh firmly established in the child's mind, and it beholdeth the fitness of one world to the other. Yes. Don't you see a box? They got the last slice of cheese. I'm sorry, son. For which education the infants shall, at an early age, be made familiar with the unseen world by training in the crescent, and their teachers shall try them to discover suis and sargus in them, and finding these talents shall cultivate them in righteousness and wisdom for the glory of the Father. And it shall come to pass that many of these infants shall not only see without their corporal eyes and hear without their corporal ears, but they will attain to adeptism. And the angels of heaven shall descend amongst us, appearing so as to be seen, and talking with us so as to be heard. And because of such exceeding great light amongst us, no one shall practice deception, for the minds and souls of all shall become as an open book. These are the promises Jehovah hath given us. By the signs of the times they are proven probable. Through faith in him we shall make these things true. In faith he will bless you all. And we're gonna pause right here today, like right at the hour mark, y'all, because I have to get them ready, get out of here. They got a makeup session to do at Sylvan today. So I incorporated the help of other teachers to help me in some of the areas where I'm lacking at in the math arena for my children, because once we got to the fraction, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't never think I was gonna ever have to really learn fractions, right? We all got children once they get into that, especially if you're not too keen on math and they get there, like, you know what? Yeah, go look up you now today. It's like, hold on, pull up YouTube. What? Hey, can you help your brother? Help your brother. I got something else to do. Instead of being honest, I don't really understand how to do this. I see that you're a little bit more trained in this than I am. Some adults, they would never say such words to children. You know what? You a whole lot smarter in that than I am. No, pride won't let them say, like, help you, brother. I got something else to do, right? I need to keep the lights on in the house. I got to go to work. You know what? I don't know how. Teach us both, right? So I realize my weaknesses, and so I got other teachers who are skilled in this to help them with these portions, because yeah, I don't want to screw that up, right? I'm still learning myself. All right, beautiful people, that is it. We got to get out of here. Let me see, 7:20. It is Saturday, October the 15th, 2022, day 237 of year 4 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1256. We are reading inside of the Oahspe, Book of Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth. We read chapter 7 through chapter 9, which is found in big blue on pages 718 through 720. Father, we thank you that you are the highest light. All right, beautiful people. Nene, shalom, sis. I'm sorry, I just looked over here. You've been here for a while. Let me make sure I didn't miss a question. Oh, wait, I did. Oahspe College University. What you sent me, I got the link. I sent what you sent me, and I read over it, and you asked me, did I notice the difference that I noticed? Not yet, because I just read the online version. I didn't get a chance to go back and compare it to what I had in my book. So I'm still working on it. I did get your email and I'm looking over it. So give me a little while today and I'll respond with what I see. Or if you want to just add some notes or something that you might be trying to point out, then you can do that too. But if you're just trying to wait to see if I see it, then that's fine too. I'm gonna need a few hours. Okay. Oh, that's good, Elijah. Elijah said, you can go to the city council and ask for an empty lot in your neighborhood. Tell them you want to build a garden. And I've seen that happen, right, in neighborhoods. And I think that is an awesome idea. Um, and apparently they do it, because even riding through some of the cities here and some of the neighborhoods, and I wasn't sure that maybe just the neighborhood people got together and did it, but I guess especially if it's a zone or a space that maybe a house has been torn down or something and nothing has been rebuilt, I guess you would have to get permission from the city or whoever owns that plot to put a garden there, or if they just have some common area, common space where you can do that. But yeah, if you don't have a yard and you like live in a neighborhood that has like some open common areas, that's an awesome idea. And look, shoot, and if that's you and you can do that, imagine if they give you the go ahead and approval to do that just by starting a garden there. Just first of all, starting it physically, just think about the spiritual benefits that you will also be able to um help the people with, right? Because children, when you get out there, you have some adults that may come, whatever, but you're really going to have more children, especially if it's a whole lot of children in the neighborhood. And hopefully there ain't no bad tail kids where they want to ride their bikes through it or whatever. Hopefully there's a little bit of, respect for the plot of land where food is growing. They'll come and they'll start asking questions. They'll ask if they can help, right? And so if that's something you do and something you've been dreaming of, and you got all kinds of plants in your house and you know a little bit, man, this might be your place to help build a Father's kingdom right here in your own neighborhood with a garden that they've approved, right? And because you'll reach children a whole lot faster than you will adults. If you reach the children, you can get to the adults, right? A lot of people sometimes, just pour it out. Sometimes they do it backwards. Some adults you can't are teachable, but some of them are stuck in their ways. And it's just, I ain't saying they're lost cause, but if there are children there that are still teachable and pliable, you can do something simple like that. It's out in the open. Everybody can see. The adults can come and listen. They can learn. If they want to come out there with their children, they can. And the children will start asking questions, right? And you could even have like little pots that you can get for a couple cents, right? Shucks, Lowe's or Home Depot might just give them to you. You know how you got little starter plants or whatever, and you can give each child like a plant to take home with them, right? I'm sure most parents, or even if that shucks, go to the dollar store, get a pack of like the styrofoam or the red Solo cups. Put some dirt in there, ain't cost you no money. You get a pack of seeds from the dollar store for like $1 and some change, right? I got a suitcase. It's not like an accordion file, but a big black accordion file where I keep all my seeds at and I label them. You can do that. You can help teach children that way. You can teach them the process of growth, and they'll come out there and you'll realize you will have a whole little class out there, and they'll just come. They'll start asking questions. They'll start asking their parents questions. The parents don't know. The parents at least probably try and look it up, but they'll come out there like, hey, so they've been asking questions. Tell me a little bit about that, right? It's just so many things you can do. And then you can just start like, you know what, this seed is just like, especially if you got some kids in a neighborhood that have like little altercations or whatever. You know how sometimes kids will fight or whatever. You'll be able to intertwine these lessons from the seeds and the soil and the company that they hang around, all that stuff. You'll be able to intertwine all that stuff together. Like, it's so amazing, right? Everybody should have a bunch of kids. Children are the best. I'll say it's like we need them and they need us. Children can be some of the best educators for adults by us observing them, and we can be some of the best educators for them by helping them bypass some of the pitfalls as they grow and explaining things in ways, and because we can handle some of the resources and tools and stuff that they might not be able to do yet, and we can reach places. So we all need each other, right? It's just a good exchange and trade and growth for all parties involved, children and adults alike, right? And we should all be seeing that on levels just in our house when we have children, right? All right, that's it. I gotta go get out of here, y'all. I will see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early. 7:15, 7:30 tomorrow, y'all. 7:30. Hold on. Oops, I want to go pondering. It's completely with Iowa. You know what? Okay, so I did catch. I'm sorry, I said I was about to get out of here, but I just read his comment. The Oahspe College University. The website only got me pondering. Remove Jehovah's name and replace it completely with Iowa. Right? I've been thinking about that a lot. I did catch that, but I wasn't thinking that that was what you wanted me to see. But I did catch that, right? And even I told you about when I was in Hawaii, how that the natives say aloha, aloha, right? And I'm like, yo, the first that time that real old dude said that, he said aloha. Like that. I'm just when he said it, something is like something, it hit something inside of me. And I knew he was saying aloha, but now that I understand the deeper meaning of what aloha is, ha, breath of life, it relates to the creator. I'm like, yo, I'm just like mind blown right here, right now, while all of this stuff is really just sinking down deep on the inside of me, just paying attention, looking at things. But I did, yes, I caught that Oahspe College University. But all right, y'all. So I love y'all. I see y'all back here in the morning. 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Bella, come on and end this. Bella. Bells. Let's go. Come on. We gotta go. Go ahead and end this. Gotta get ready to get out of here. Bye, y'all.
Yeah, come on, Jace.
Okay.
I had to get
I'm
on.
just trying to find my phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Peace and blessings, Hannah. Jamia. See ya, girl. All right, go ahead.
Hey, come here. Come. In this
Gotta
one.
figure out how to end this. X out of that.
Pootie, move.
Popping up all kind of boxes. Y'all trying to jump up here. X out of that. Yep.
Excuse me, Pootie. No, come on. Jace. What's
Yep.
this?
Show me how to do it.
What's this, Jace? Go down. I can't. I'm on the edge. Here, sit up here.
Well, they trying to end it. I'm letting Bella teach him how to end this.
And press that one. Daddy, look at that.
Bye, y'all.